One of the bosses of Atlanta, my guy Dan Quinn, Mr.
Yeah.
Set It Off, one of our favorite coaches and favorite teams in the league. Hey, Shrakes, take it away.
Thank you, Nate. Here I am with the coach of the Atlanta Falcons, Mr. Dan Quinn. Dan, welcome to Indianapolis. Another combine. Here we are.
No doubt. I'm pumped to be on with you guys. I always am. And this starts it, man. Like, this important week, getting to know these guys, seeing them compete for it, the interview portion, on-the-field stuff, seeing the athleticism. It's a cool week, man. So our staff, man, we're pumped to be here.
We've had you on the show a bunch, and we love your energy. It's always turned to a 10. Do you get a chance after the season? Do you get a chance after that play? Do you ever turn it down, or are you always at that level, at that 10? Let's go, let's rock.
I go down to a 9. Yeah. There's definitely times I'll go down, but more than anything, you just trust the process that you go through, man. It's like we don't try to look too far down the line. So, like, all we want to do is nail this week, man. Have the best combine we've ever had. And so we don't look too far down what's past that, but making what we're doing right now, man, the most important. So kind of when you live that way, you are kind of lit up and turned up, for what's up for that day.
Coming off the Super Bowl, you guys had this long off season of all these questions, and yet you get to the divisional round. You make it all the way back to the second round of the playoffs. Something to be commended for. You fall short there in Philadelphia in that game. As you turn the page now, as a new NFL season approaches, what is the message to the Atlanta Falcons as we head to 2018?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's so cool about it, man. Like, every year is different, and you've got to go all the way back and bring it again. So from the coaching side, now the audit's fully underway. You know, what are the things that we can improve on? What areas we want to really address to, spend some time in the offseason? For the players, what's the one or two things in their game they really want to nail? So each of the coaches, they make point of attack tapes. They go through, kind of an extensive, this is the couple things we want you to improve upon. And then, man, reset it and go for it in the biggest way. It's all in for this season, 2018. And all I want them thinking about is, can I have the best offseason I've had? We'll leave training camp and the season to them, man. Like, how can we get better this offseason?
Last year, the message was embrace the suck, right? Let's not avoid the Super Bowl. Let's watch the game tape. Let's get into it. It was a slogan that really carried you guys through August right into the season. Is there a slogan you've come up with yet for this season, 2018, as we come off that Philadelphia loss in the playoffs?
Not yet. And the best thing for us right now, man, is like constant improvement. And what part of your game can you get a little bit better? What part of the program can be better? So even like us as coaches, I'd ask all the assistants, hey, man, like, do a 360 on this program. What's some ways that we think we can do it better? So I love that challenge to say, how can we find a way to do it better? And that's going to be the message, our improvement in certain spots. We're going to go for that in a big way.
This division's good, right? The New Orleans Saints had a year. Right?
Yep.
The Carolina Panthers aren't going away. The Buccaneers are going to be better next season. How do you up your game from being a team that goes Super Bowl, playoffs the next season, to being consistent and doing it again next year and getting over the hump next season?
And I think it's always the right thing to talk about your division first, because if you look past, it'll come up and bite you. The Saints are so unique in how they've played. They've improved in a lot of ways. Carolina's always, physical and tough. And then Tampa, like you said, they're explosive. They know how to feature their guys. They've got athleticism on defense. So this division's a beast, and that's what makes playing in it so much fun.
Falcons fans watching right now are thinking, all right, we got Julio Jones on the goal line. It's first. How often do you think back to that series there in Philadelphia? And can I ask you candidly, would you have hoped that you would have done things any differently than it did that game at the final stages?
We would have definitely done something different, had to play the score.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, you always want to make sure at that point you're thinking players. And how can we, get the ball, in the hands with the guys at the right spot at the right time. So you make a lot of those decisions even during the week as the game plan's going, okay, we call those gotta-have-it moments. All right?
Gotta-have-it moments.
Gotta have it.
Julio Jones is a gotta-have-it guy.
You got that right. And so you better make sure in those moments that he has chances to go. And when you go through those times and you're expecting a certain defense and a certain way to go, you go to attack. And, that's the life of a competitor, brother. And that's what, playing and coaching in the NFL is so much fun. Like, it is fully on, fully turned up as close, as you can. I can talk to my wife after games, and sometimes those close ones I may say to her, man, that was awesome, wasn't it? And she's like, I think you're trying to kill me. Can't we go the other way? So I love being in that kind of environment and having the opportunity to coach in those moments. Man, that is your most alive, the most aggressive, how it feels in those moments. So when you go back and it doesn't go your way, yeah, you regret the decision at the time and say, okay, what would we have done different? That's always the case. But at the end of it, let's tip our hat to them and made the plays when they had to. That's hard for us as a competitor to say, but that's the truth of it.
I've been to that Flowery Branch facility, and it's incredible energy. You guys have the music going. Everyone's competing. It's all in on the Falcons. It's a brotherhood. It truly is. Sark gets a lot of criticism outside that building. A lot of people say, well, they got to change the OC. They got to do that. Julio didn't get the ball enough. Sark is coming back next year, and you stood up for your guy.
Yep.
What can the Falcons fans know about Steve Sarkisian that you know that maybe
Right.
the rest of the country does not?
Yeah, he's a fantastic coach, and it's easy to place blame elsewhere when things don't go as well. But the one thing I know about our guys, we are in a lot of ways a player-led team, so that accountability falls to everyone to be at our very best. So I like that we've got a lot to prove, and some of my most competitive moments have been in those times where you have something to prove. So offensively, defensively, on teams, we got a lot to prove, and I love how that feels.
The last few weeks of the regular season and the playoff game, you guys held the Saints to very few points, right? You come in, you play Carolina, you held them. You go into L.A., you hold them under 20 points. This defense got a lot better. What can we expect from the Atlanta defense in 2018?
Yeah, they're definitely ready to go to another spot. And that starts with that competitiveness that you were talking about. It's the way you practice. It's the way those guys can compete with one another to get themselves ready to go. Generally, communication is a big part of that. But let's make sure our style always comes through. The tackling, the speed, the physicality. So I'm excited for this group and where they can get to.
We're excited to see them. Guys, Dan Quinn, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. As always, I'm going to ask you to leave the guys in New York with a message. What do you have to say to Kyle Brandt, Nate Burleson, and Kay Adams this morning, Coach?
Well, I already know you guys are setting it off up in the Big Apple already.
Yes!
So every day, bring the juice, man. We love you guys.
Bring the juice.